Today we are with one more topic on the engineering drawing, that is projection of planes. So let's first understand what's a plane. So plane is a two-dimensional object. So when we talk about a plane, so we are talking about an object who has two dimensions. What are those two dimensions? So that is, the object has length and the object has breadth. So these are the two dimensions which an object has. So the third dimension is negligible, that is the thickness. So thickness is negligible in case of planes. So we are only talking about the object which has two dimensions, that dimensions are length and breadth. So that object is called plane. So when we say plane, what is an example which is coming in our mind? That is a sheet of paper. Sheet of paper. So students, as you know, this sheet of paper has length and it has breadth. So it has only two dimensions. So the object which has two dimensions is known as planes. In other words, we can say also that it is also called as lamina. So lamina is the another name for the planes. So when we talk about the planes, so we talk about what are the various geometrical figures which we have to do in case of the projection of planes. So various geometrical figures which we have to draw in case of projection of planes. Those figures are square, rectangle, polygons. When I say polygons, I mean to say pentagon and hexagon, and also consists triangles. So various types of triangles. So these are the various figures which we have in the future classes, make the projections of these geometrical figures in future classes. Fine, students. Now in case of projection of planes, there are two types of planes. So let's talk about types of planes. So now you understood that we are talking about a plane which has two dimensions. That means we have come from no dimension to 1D. Now we are in 2D. So no dimension was the point, 1D was the line. Now the 2D is planes. So as I say types of planes, there are basically two types of planes. That is, number one, that is a perpendicular plane, and the second one is oblique plane. Perpendicular plane and oblique plane. So two types of planes, these two types of planes are placed vis-a-vis with principal planes. So these two are not the principal planes which we have talked in line and project. These are the planes which are the object having two dimensions, and these planes which are perpendicular are with principal planes. So let's talk about various conditions of these planes vis-a-vis with principal planes. So these conditions of planes are, when we talk about perpendicular plane, the conditions are number one, plane is perpendicular to HP and parallel to VP. So this is the first condition. Now we are talking about the perpendicular plane, its conditions vis-a-vis with principal planes. The first condition is the plane, which is 2D figure, is perpendicular to HP and parallel to VP. That's the first condition. Now let's take the opposite of this first condition. What is the opposite? Plane perpendicular to VP and parallel to HP. So this is the another condition. The third condition is plane is perpendicular to both HP and VP. So you see, first condition was perpendicular to HP and parallel to VP. Second is reverse of the first condition, and the third is it is perpendicular to both HP as well as VP. And fourth condition is plane is perpendicular to HP and inclined to VP. So in this condition, perpendicular to HP and inclined to VP. Now the fifth condition is vice versa. The fifth condition is vice versa of the fourth condition. That means plane is perpendicular to VP and inclined to HP. So these are the 5 conditions of the plane vis-a-vis with principal planes. Now there is one more condition which I said is the oblique condition. In the oblique condition, what is the oblique condition? Oblique condition is when the plane is inclined to both principal planes. So oblique is nothing. Oblique is the condition in which the plane, that is the object, is inclined to both of its principal planes. So these are the various conditions of the planes, and these are the various figures which we are going to do in the future classes. Fine students, there is one more condition or one more type which we need to understand is trace. So let's first understand what is a trace. Trace is nothing. It is the intersection of the meeting of the plane surface with the reference planes. As you know, in case of a point, trace was, what was the trace? Trace was also a point, a dot. In case of a line, projection of line I am talking about, trace was again a point, if you remember. Was not? Yes, it was. Now in case of a planes, the trace is not a point but a line. So what is a trace in this case? The trace is a line. As you know, in the previous two types, that's in the point and in the line, there were two types of traces. There were two types of traces. As you remember, the two types were horizontal trace and the second one was vertical trace. let me draw a one simple condition to understand the trace. If this is a reference plane, as you know, this is my vertical plane and this is my horizontal plane. So if we take a condition like this, so what is now this? This is my object. This is my object, or you can say this is my plane which I was talking about. So this is a plane and these two are principal planes. Principal planes. So there is a difference. So these two are principal planes and this is the plane whose projection we have to draw on these two reference planes. So if we see the position of this plane, the position of this plane, if we take this plane is A, B, C and D. The position of this plane is, this plane is perpendicular to HP and this is parallel. This plane is parallel to VP. So when a plane is parallel to VP, that means it does not have VT. As you remember in the previous cases, when the plane is perpendicular, then only it is going to touch to the horizontal. If we produce these lines up to the horizontal plane, so it only has HT. Fine, students? So in this condition, the object, that is the plane, has only horizontal trace. It does not have vertical trace. So when both the traces are possible, only in the condition when the object is perpendicular to both principal planes. So only in case when the plane is perpendicular to both principal planes, then only there are two traces. That means VT and HT, and HT is only possible when the plane is perpendicular to both principal planes. In otherwise, it has only trace when the plane is perpendicular to the specific reference planes. I hope, students, you got this lecture, and please share this video with your friends and colleagues, because I will have the series of lectures on projection of planes in future classes.